Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for logging on. And today we're reviewing another fashion watch because I guess you guys really liked my previous episode where I reviewed a Versace fashion watch, which was a quartz watch and from a fashion brand, which I typically don't do, but I did it just so that I can give you guys a different perspective on the kinds of watches there are on the market. I know we are all watch enthusiasts, where most of us are collectors, including myself. I don't buy typical fashion watches. I typically don't hunt for them or are interested in them, although there was a time when I was heavily influenced by them back in the day. And I do still have one fashion watch, which is my Guess Rigor from 5 years ago. I got this for, I think, $50, but the retail was like $150. So this is just like a memoir of those days when I was enamored by fashion watches. But since then I've cleared my collection, replaced them with all the Swiss automatics and Japanese automatics, and I'm building my collection towards that now. But fashion watches are still a big part of the industry, like it or not, guys. A lot of people are influenced by them, a lot of people love them and buy them. So this time I went to a different fashion brand, but this one, Gucci, is the one we're reviewing today. Gucci has a little bit more experience with watches than Versace. They've been in the game for a little bit longer, although their watches are typical fashion watches still. I think they've been in the industry for a little bit longer and have a little bit more experience with, serious watch buyers. And although they're not typically targeting us collectors, they still know that to set themselves apart, they need to work on their watch a little bit more than the other fashion brands like Michael Kors and Coach, Fendi, Dior. Although Dior is kind of picking up their game from what I've heard, and Chanel also with buying F.P. Journe. But anyway, coming back to point. So this is a Gucci watch. Got this from Neiman Marcus. They've nicely tied it up in a bow and ribbon. So let's take that off first and discuss the box. So it's a typical cardboard box, white color on the front with the Gucci logo, black color and some pinstriping on the sides. Very averagely finished. Got some scratches and dings on this side. Must have been lying around in their cabinets for quite some time. The edges are pretty terrible. But anyway, let's see the watch now. Let's take it off. Opens up in a typical fashion. There's a box inside a box. Same exact pattern. Wow, what inspiration. Okay, so obviously this box is a little bit better in quality. This is the inner box. Exact. It's also cuboidal in shape. Seems like it has a lot of depth. And let's open it up. All right, so here's the watch. First, okay, no logo on the top end. That's unusual. Just some velvet finish and a pillow, and then I think you have a watch booklet inside. Let's discuss that first before we discuss the watch. What else is in there? So we have some silica gel desiccants. Toss that over. You have this booklet. What does it contain? Looks like it actually slides out. Alright, so the booklet actually slides out from this outer cover with the Gucci logo on it. Comes out, and then you have this booklet inside. Just some instructions on operating the watch in different languages. Nothing special or spectacular. No specific design elements. Just have the warranty certificate, how to operate the watch, how to set the time. Maintenance guide. Not that this watch would need real maintenance, but it is an automatic, I believe. So let's take a look at it and decide whether it's worth the money. Okay, let's put this back in first. All right, what else we got? We have just this ribbon inside for I don't know what reason, but anyway, let's put the box to the side here and take this off and then discuss it. Okay, this is the Gucci G Timeless automatic dial watch, and you can see definitely a decent design. Let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about the case. So this is finished in stainless steel. 316L stainless steel all throughout. It has both mirrored and a little bit of brush finish all across on the bracelet, and the case is mostly mirrored finish, but there is some brushing on the lugs. And yeah, I believe this is 40 millimeters in diameter, the case, and the bezel is fixed fluted. That's it, which is a nice touch. And yeah, this is an automatic watch. We'll discuss that in a second. And first, let's look at the case. So it's very thin in profile, so this can be used certainly as a dress and a sports watch. We're gonna measure the case thickness, lug width, and lug to lug measurement in a second. So, but first, what else is on the case? So we have this Gucci G logo on the crown. Is the crown screw down? No, it's a push and pull crown, so there's no don't expect too much water resistance. I think it's only 50 meters in water resistance. Yep, that's what it is, 50 meters in water resistance. It's not written over here. Typically watches do write that, but yeah, 50 meter water resistance, no screw down crown, no aggressive serrations. And so this is an automatic watch. I believe it's powered by an ETA 2895-2 movement, which is based on a 2892A2 movement actually. This has a small second sub dial at the 6 o'clock position, and it only has the 12, 6, 3, and 9 markings on it. The dial itself is black in color, a very unique kind of radial concentric guilloche pattern. I do really like that. That is very eye-catching and very nicely made. You have the B and star indices marked for the R's, and some for the 3, 6, and 9. You have straight conical markers pointing towards the center. The handsets are pretty straightforward, simple, stainless steel, mirrored finish. And then you have what I believe is a tiger at the 12 o'clock position. I believe it's a tiger or a panther. And then you have the Gucci logo at the 12 o'clock position as well. The hands are pretty straightforward, nothing specific, nothing spectacular. There's no lume on the dial at all. Now I want to come back to the indices. Now you have these bees on here, which is kind of strange. I'm kind of grossed out by bees themselves. Wearing that on your wrist is kind of strange for me. It's something that I'm not into, and I probably would not go for. But if Animal Kingdom is your thing, then I guess you shouldn't have a problem with it. And then you have the star logos at the 11, 2, 5, 7, and 8 o'clock positions. The B's are at the 10, 1, and 4 o'clock positions. Now the star at the 7 o'clock has 6 spokes instead of the usual 5, which is also unusual. Why would you do that? I don't know. Watch is Swiss made, obviously, because it's using a Swiss movement. I guess more than 60% of the value is in Switzerland, so they've assigned the Swiss made logo. And the indices are applied. They are nicely finished and nicely detailed. I'll give them that. So for that reason, it might be attractive to some people if you're not grossed out by the bees coming on your watch wrist. So it kind of grosses me out when I see insects on my wrist. So I'm not for this dial at all, but you might be. And coming to the movement, so it does, I do feel like it hand winds. Let's move it out and see if there's hacking. Look, there is hacking and hand winding, it looks like. And operation of the crown is very smooth. Yeah, nice solid click. It is a Swiss ETA movement, so the movement should not give you any problems, I presume. Yeah, easy to operate, easy to use and set the time. I do love the dial. I just wish they did not put bees on there and kept it with the stars or something else. Then it would have been nice. And I also wish that they used some more creativity on the hands, because right now they're just very plain. And I do want to say one thing, because of the fact that the dial is black and these hands are so well polished, you can see that it can get really hard to read the time with some angles depending on how the light is shining on the watch. So like right now it's getting kind of hard. If I really like make sure the reflection passes on the silver, which is very highly polished, only then can I see the time. Otherwise, like right now, it's kind of disappearing into the dial. That's not good readability. The first rule of watches, you should be able to read the time, and if you can't do that, that's not great. The sub-seconds dial is more like a showpiece. I don't really think it can be used for any like accurate timing. So, but if accurate timing is your thing, you're probably not buying this watch, I guess. Let's go back to the case back now. Case back does have a see-through case back, and there is a custom rotor on there with, I don't know what that is, kind of like a B again. Not sure what that logo stands for. I'm trying to get it in focus. Yeah, I have no idea. I think it's another insect bee. There's no other design on the rotor aside from that small customization. It has a bit of a radial concentric pattern in the center, and then looks like the movement is decently decorated. Not very well decorated, but it does look like there's some decoration on there. There's some, I can identify some perlage, and yeah, it's 27 joules. It's high beat, 28,000 VPH, so that's good. It has a 42-hour power reserve. And yeah, so the performance characteristics are not bad. It says Gucci, water resistant 5 ATM. What else does it say? Stainless steel, Swiss made, 26.3. I don't know what that is for. 126.3. And yeah, so the performance is average. Now looking at it more closely, I think this is actually a tiger, not a panther. Tiger head logo is what it is at the 12 o'clock position. Coming to the bracelet. The bracelet is again silver tone, stainless steel finish with brushing on the sides, and the center is kind of like a beads of rice pattern, but I don't want to say it is exactly beads of rice stainless steel pattern, but it's heavily inspired by it, and it has this nice look of rings on the center. It's really thin, very elegant, nicely made, feels like a quality product. You can see on the underside the finishing is not bad at all. I haven't taken out the plastic yet, but it does look like it's very well made. Yeah. And then the clasp is a butterfly clasp with twin trigger release system, giving it double security, and no decoration on here, but it looks solid, well built, and yeah, much easier to operate than the Versace watch, which was a friction operated clasp. This one easily comes off and on. And then you have the Gucci logo very discreetly inscribed, nothing shouting out into your face. So yeah, so this can be used as dress and sports watch. I believe it seems seriously seems pretty versatile to me. I forgot to mention, so the dial is sapphire crystal. I do feel there's like a slight doming effect over here, but it's not easily apparent. It's definitely not double dome, but I feel like there's a slight doming on the sapphire glass. I'm not sure if it is, but I do feel it's there. All right, let's do the measurements now, see if they stack up to what Gucci measures them as. They say it's 40 millimeters in diameter. Let's check. And we are getting 39.5 millimeters. Let's do one more measurement just to be sure. Yep, 39.97 actually. So it does stack up to be what Gucci has labeled on their website as 40 millimeters. Let's check the thickness of the watch. 9.87. Okay, let's do a lug to lug now. See what we get. Make sure it's lined up right. Yep, 47.32 millimeters lug to lug. Let's do a lug width. Okay, lug width is 26 millimeters. The straps that they're using for the bracelet this mesh patterning and beads of rice steel inspiration is about 19.7 millimeters, so like 20 millimeters. So it looks like you might be able to swap it out, although you will need a spring bar tool because there's no drill lugs over here. You're gonna have to use a spring bar tool to get the strap off, the bracelet off, and put another strap on. Although I think that this bracelet is very nice for this watch, unless you want to go with a leather strap. This can pretty much do the job very well. So let's put. Alright, time to do a wristwatch check. I haven't sized the bracelet, but here's what it looks like on my 6.5-inch wrist. This 40 millimeter watch wears really nicely, very thin, very supple on the wrist, feels elegant, and can definitely function as sports, dress, and semi-formal watch. Maybe not suitable for the most formal occasion, but for other occasions it is pretty decent if you like the design theme, and if you're not a huge enthusiast, if you're not one of those collector types and you love fashion watches, you just love everything by Gucci, this is not a bad choice, I'd say. But if you're a collector enthusiast, obviously you don't want a fashion watch, then this is not the watch for you. But if you like designer brands, even on your watches, that's something that you go for on a daily basis, I'd say this watch would suit you pretty well. Now, the retail on this watch is $1,900. You can get it on Joma Shop for like $1,200, I believe. Yeah, around like $1,200, $1,229 to be exact is what you can find it for. So definitely search gray market, and you might be able to get a better deal than you would on retail, which is exorbitantly high. This watch is not worth $1,900. It's not even worth $1,200, to be honest. I think the maximum worth of this watch with all of the factors combined should definitely be less than $800, $700, maybe even less than that. But yeah, I mean, it's a designer brand, so I think $1,200 isn't the worst price, but definitely there's so many better options out there that you can get for $1,200. You can get an Oris Acros, you can get a Longines Hydro Conquest, you can get a Rado, you can get Tissot, you can get Hamiltons. You can get so much more for your money in that price range. But if fashion watches, if designer labels are your thing and fashion watches are your style, then this is a good option. I mean, I'm not gonna be discriminatory and say that, you know, one watch lover group is better than the other. Hey, whatever you like, whatever you love, wear it. If you love fashion watches, go for them. It's not something I recommend, but if that's something that makes you happy at the end, that's what matters, right? So yeah, now it's time to give this watch an opulence. For the style and design category, the watch is decently designed, some nice detailing on the dial, and the strap is, the bracelet is very well proportioned, very well designed, and very supple. Twin trigger release system functions flawlessly. You have a pretty decent design on the indices if you're into that type, but the B's and stars kind of are not my thing. So from my perspective, and keeping all of the other factors in mind, I would give this a 7 out of 10. Materials and finishing on the watch are decent. It does look like it's very well made, very decently finished, and I cannot find any flaws on that pattern, on that factor. Decently powered movement, and no defects or flaws are visible. So for that reason, I would give this an 8 out of 10. For the performance category, it's powered by a base caliber ETA movement, which is Swiss made, so that's good, and it's got a 42-hour power reserve. It can function as both a dress watch, sports watch, or even a casual watch. And for that reason, because of its performance versatility, it gets a 8 out of 10. For the performance category, the watch is powered by a Swiss-made movement, the ETA 2895 caliber, which gives it a power reserve of 42 hours, which is the industry standard. And it's a base caliber, not super well decorated, and it can be hard to tell the time because of the polishing on these hands, and it's merging with the background. So for that reason, it gets a 5 out of 10. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. Stay tuned for more content coming your way. Make sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel so that I can keep providing you with more awesome watch content and other luxury item content as well. Make sure to comment, tell me your thoughts, let me know how you feel about this watch. Do you want me to do another fashion watch, or do you want me to stick to the more basic Swiss watches and Japanese watches that I've been doing all this time? Let me know, guys. Until then, take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.